Alright guys, we've got a 15 plus 10 unrated game on the board against an opponent rated almost bang on 1000. And we've got a Sicilian, so I played e4, c5, then knight to f3, trying to get control of the centre. And now I'm playing this delayed Alapin variation. The Alapin would normally be c3 on the second turn, but I brought the knight out first. And now I can play d4, supported by this pawn, and recapture. So now I have two central pawns again, nice and advanced. Black also has two central pawns, but only one of them is out. My bishop's getting ready to come out, maybe pin the knight. So what do we want to do? This pawn's defended twice. Let's bring out the bishop. It'll probably prompt bishop to d7 to block the pin, because otherwise I've got d5, even if pawn takes, I've got a second attacker on the pinned piece. Another option might be a6, but there we go. Right, I'm just going to castle. So just playing principal chess here, and now the bishop is kicked, which is fine. I'll just drop back. My opponent's playing quite fast, which is not a good sign for them. When you're playing against a stronger opponent, you should make sure you take your time. So he's well up above 15 minutes on his clock right now. Okay, so this pawn's now being attacked. I can defend it a few ways. Bring my knight out, but then the knight can be kicked away. So rook to e1 to defend this pawn. I'm castled, my opponent's not, so I do want to strike in the centre. His bishop can only come out one square. If I push pawn takes, I'm attacking the knight and it can't really be captured, so let's strike for the centre now. I want to do whatever I can to postpone his castling or prevent him from castling if possible. Okay, pawn takes, and now I can recapture. Knight can't capture because it's guarded twice. So this knight now does have to move. Bishop's currently defended twice by knight and queen. What else are we looking at? Let's get my remaining bishop and knight out. Okay, so now this knight's on an undefended square, so I can, for example, if I move my knight to here, that's not good. I mean, it's attacked twice there, but it does come with a discovery. So let's say I move my knight here and bishop takes. I then take the knight. Nothing really gained from that. Hang on. Knight there, bishop takes, queen takes knight. I've now got two attackers on this bishop that's on g5, but it can capture my bishop there. The knight's not really a threat here. Well, what if I were to kick the knight? Where's it going to go? It can't go there. Can't go there. It's defended twice, attacked twice. So it would have to retreat, probably to h6. Not a good square, because then my bishop can grab it. So I think in this instance, that's alright. So now I'm going to develop my bishop and break up my opponent's pawn structure. So I'm quite happy about that outcome. Next, I need to think about what to do with my remaining knight to complete development. I don't think my opponent's going to be castling that way. I also think my opponent's not going to be castling that way. So I could, for example, just lift my queen off the back rank and attack this pawn. That's one idea. Could just bring out my knight. So where does my knight go from there? Maybe even around here. Something like that. If I was to lift my queen, we could have bishop to here. attacked twice but defended twice by queen and pawn. And if I capture and pawn takes, it's still not great for my opponent. So I'm going to try this move and see what he does. I'm expecting this, in which case I think knight takes, pawn takes is okay. It does undouble the pawns. Ah. Right. Now the pawn's available. Do I have to worry about this rook moving? It means black's not castling that way. We know that now. So I grab the pawn. I don't see an immediate risk. My knight's covering these squares. This pawn's then hanging as well, so why not? Does that mean there's 3 pieces defending this key square? But now I'm attacking this pawn. And how does black defend other than moving the rook back? Now looking at this knight, while my opponent's thinking, I'm preparing what I want to do next. So I'm thinking maybe here, centralized is not bad. This pawn's defended once, attacked once. So maybe knight to here gives me options. Knight to here also just allows me to centralize my rook and pin this bishop on the queen. It's a pretty bad bishop there. Will his knight want to come in here? Should I play a3 at some point? Okay, that's not a bad move, but I'm kind of inclined to capture with the knight. If I do capture, might have queen coming out, and then there's a checkmate threat, so I'll probably be forced to trade queens, but I don't think that's a bad thing. If rook captures, I get a free pawn. So let's grab the bishop. This pawn is also defended by the rook, so I don't have to worry too much about that. Okay, so now the rook is captured. So I can grab a pawn here and threaten queen h8 check, forcing the king off its marks. I think that's okay. Still now thinking about maybe knight here, knight to f3 now, replacing the knight that I just lost. Also doesn't block. Ooh, okay. Now I think I win material here, because if I capture the rook and knight recaptures, I've got queen h8 check, attacking both of those squares. Just need to be careful about back rank attacks, because my king is going to be undefended, but I think this is okay. Right, so now I can grab the knight. Yeah, I think that's the best move. Black wants to get his queen like here, really. But then I do have an escape square for my king, so that's not too bad. I've also got this, which I'll have to block with a pawn, or else we trade queens, and that's a winning position. Because I'm a knight and a pawn up at this point. Should be winning. Okay, so I'm inclined to play this move now. Probably f6, and then I might come up. Got bishop attacking this pawn. So if I go here, it's not looking great for the king. If he goes on the back rank, I can force an exchange of queens. Let's do that. Still, he's on 15 minutes, which means he's used only 10 seconds per move, which isn't great. If the king comes here, then I'm going to move my knight out with the threat of rook d1 with a skewer on the king and queen. Queen's the only defender of this pawn. King's the only defender of this pawn. I also have a check here. So you can see all the different things that I'm just saying to myself. I'm just describing the board to myself as we go. Now this is an obvious liability for black, which he needs to bear in mind. He's actually played pretty solid. Okay, then we get a resignation. Okay, let's see if we want a rematch. See if we can get a game as black. All right, we have a rematch. Okay, d4. What should we play? I've been playing the Leningrad Dutch recently. I'm going to play the Black Lion. Let's see if I can remember it. I haven't played that in a long time. Okay, I think we're getting a London. We're getting a London. Okay, knight d7. Then e5 is coming. Okay, if I play e5 now, he's got 3 pieces attacking there. There, pawn takes, knight takes, trade of queens. Don't think there's anything to gain. So I might kind of transpose into like a King's Indian now. Idea of c5 at some point, breaking up his structure. If he's playing London by the book, he'll probably play c3, or knight here, or bishop here. Bishop there is not great because it's now looking at this. Yeah, okay. But it's a, it's a developing move. All right, let's just carry on. Plan is to castle. And then at some point I do want to strike for the centre here, but I can't right now because that pawn is protected twice. Okay. It's attacked 3 times. Right now it's only defended twice. I'm going to play maybe rook to e8. Queen e8 is quite common in the Dutch. Okay, I'm not too concerned about this. It's actually removing one of the pieces that's protecting that, so I can now go ahead and grab the e5 square. See, competing for the centre is not only important in the opening. I've got now 3 pieces defending. Okay, let's just grab that off. So he'd love to get his queen here protect. Oh, he's pushed. All right. Okay. Now, knight c5 is an idea. Also liberates my bishop. Attacks this bishop. This is not a great bishop because now we've got these locked off central pawns. So you've got to think, where can his bishop possibly go? That's one idea. The only other option is to retreat. Now I could push a6, right? And if his bishop, to prevent his bishop from coming there, or I could allow his bishop to come there and then push a6 and put the question to him if he decides to go for that line. If I bring my knight out now, it's another attacker on there. I quite like this move, so I'm going to go for that. Also allows me to play my bishop to here with the threat of capturing the knight and messing up his pawns on the king side. Again, he's playing quite fast. I'm on 14.5 minutes, he's on nearly 16 minutes. Okay, so he's brought his knight out. He might be planning to castle long, which doesn't overly concern me, but he's got 2 defenders now on that pawn. I've got 2 attackers. If I take out the bishop, then no great benefit to that. So I kind of want to bring my bishop out. I think this looks like a decent move. However, I need to be careful about getting his rook onto the g file in line with my king. Okay, he's defending with his bishop, and now that means that there's only one defender of this. So I can now capture, let's think, capture, knight takes, knight takes. This bishop's undefended, but I'm attacking his queen another time. So let's capture with this knight. So we're hitting the queen. If knight takes, I simply recapture. So I've won a pawn. If knight takes, I can also... He's got like queen here, hitting both, because they are both in line, but then I've got f5. f5 defends both pieces. Okay, so he's attacking the knight. So I think f5 looks good, but I've also got an option of just dropping the bishop back to f5 as well. I'd like to try and force his king to move if possible. Is f5 a good move now? This pawn's also weak. We've even got knight f6, hits this pawn and defends the bishop. That looks quite solid. Let's try that. I'm just checking to see what's he going to do next if I play that. I can always drop my bishop back to here, fairly safe place. He's got a bad pawn there. If I play like c6, that gives me a check here. Okay, so he's attacking that, so that's alright. Can't retreat to here because he's got g4, which traps the bishop. So, big question now, do I want to trade off my light square bishop for his knight? Or do I just come back here and attack this pawn? Let's just attack the pawn. Then is he going to play g4 and start like a pawn storm, hitting my bishop? Then I grab his pawn. Or still do I just grab the knight? Or do I capture the pawn on d5 and attack the queen? How does that look? I can always then drop my bishop just back here. Let's do that. Free pawn, right? Attacks the queen. Queen can't go there. Can't go here. Could go there. Okay, well that looks like it's attacking two pieces, right? But again, I can just drop my knight back to here, attack the queen and defend the bishop. Or I can play my bishop to here. I can't play this because the queen can grab the knight. So I have options. Knight back to here will force the queen to move. That's not possible. That's possible. He gets my bishop out of trouble as well, so let's go ahead with that. If I do that, is he going to bring his knight in here? No, because I'll capture it with my queen. So I think this looks okay. Still got the possibility of knight back here. So his knight can't progress to any of these squares. He might bring his bishop in to pin the knight there, in which case I've got c6 to defend. So the knight's not very flexible right now. The bishop's not a bad piece. Right, it's time to start thinking about pushing pawns onto light squares up here. Okay. That's a little rash. I'm going to come back. Oh, it does drop this pawn actually. So you can capture that now. Didn't think that one through. Okay, but he's just blundered his queen. Oh dear. Oh dear, and I think we're going to get another resignation now. Yeah, okay, let's see if he wants one more. We have the white pieces, we'll play something different. If he's a Sicilian player, I might go for something random. But we'll see if he wants a rematch. Doesn't look like it. Looks like he's had enough. Okay. But interesting couple of games. So, he played fairly solid, I think, for both of these. And you've just got to minimise the blunders. I really think that, getting rid of your one-move blunders, the obvious ones like there, right? What changed? Well, the knight is attacking my queen. Right? So rather than thinking about your opponent's ideas, look out for simple threats as well. So that, I think, is going to be enough to get you beyond 1,000, and then progressively reducing the blunders is what you need to get to 1,200, 1,300. I'm pretty sure of it. So many games are decided by blunders. I lost one today that whereas I was doing well in the game, and I played one bad move, and that is all it takes. It's all it takes to lose. So the most critical thing that you can do, I mean, we all play good moves, we all play bad moves from time to time. Just reducing the bad moves is the key. And what you need is good time management. He's finished. He's lost the game with 15 and a half minutes on the clock, where he started with 15 minutes. So go figure, He had time to find that move. That was not... him playing h4 was not because he's inexperienced. It's he knows it's there. The information is there. The queen is under attack. You need to do something about it. And this might have been absolutely fine, but there you go. So cutting out the blunders, guys. So the way to do that is if you flip the board. Black plays this. Okay. What has changed on the board? Okay, well, the knights move from here to here. Okay, so if the knights move from there to there, what squares are now being covered by that knight? Well, these ones. Okay, is there anything we should be concerned about? Oh yes, my queen is on that square. What else has happened? Well, the knight has vacated this diagonal. Therefore, I could capture the pawn, for example. Right? That's all you need to do. You just need to slow your ass down and be aware of what's going on, right? What just changed on the board is a very useful question to ask. Why did my opponent make that move is another very important question to ask, right? And when you're saying what's changed, you're looking for new opportunities, new threats. But first of all, just sit there and state the facts, right? The facts are this knight is now looking at these squares, right? All these light-coloured squares. And should we be concerned? Yes, one of them is the square my queen's sitting on. Not difficult, right? He's perfectly capable of doing it. It's an inexcusable blunder in a game of chess. And we just need to cut them out. And then we'll all be 1,500. All right? There you go. So that's how to beat a 1,000 player. Thank you for watching. I'll see you very soon.